to another edition of Good Books Radio. I'm your host this week, Dr. John Cook, and with me today is Dr. Sandeep Grewal. He's a board-certified by the American Board of Internal Medicine. He was awarded Innovation in Healthcare Award by the Charlotte Business Journal in 2012, and he also was named 40 Under 40 in 2013. I have to know what that means. He has appeared in several television and radio shows, and this is his third authored book. He's also the co-inventor of the Slim Plate System. The book we're going to be talking about is Fat Me Not, the weight loss diet of the future. Dr. Grewal, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
You and your colleague, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name, but
Dr. Nui,
devised this system, and it's a fairly reasonable system based on medical research that is a little sounder than most of those fad diets that you talk about in the book.
Yes, what we did was we designed the Slim Plate system as a way of losing weight without having anybody to learn about calories and nutrition and the whole science of nutrition, because there's so much misinformation in the market. What it does is it puts people through 4 stages of portion-controlled weight loss and optimize their weight loss. And then we wrote the book to explain the science behind it, why we need to lose weight the way we need to, because the current diets are based on research done in 1950s and 1960s. So when we talk about low-carb diet or low-fat diet, these are old research, and there's a lot more new research coming in, and which we need to bring it to the public so that they can understand it and use it to lose weight the right way.
And there have been a lot of fad diets, and you mentioned some that sound logical, like the jaw wiring diet and the tongue patch diet and the weight loss shake powder and the one magic pill. And all of those things really wind up causing sometimes temporary weight loss, but we often gain it back. Is that basically the upshot?
Well, I think you're right. Recently, just BBC reported that there's a study in United Kingdom which showed that only 1 out of 200 men and 1 out of 120 women would actually lose weight and keep it off. What it tells us is that the current diets are failing. There is a lot more myths in weight loss industry, which is causing more harm than good, because people do lose weight, and there are many diets which help us lose weight very quickly, but then they gain it back and even more quickly. For example, if we look at eating only once a day, it sounds very logical that if you eat once a day, you're going to lose weight, but we don't. Why? Because the research shows that when we put our body through a fasting state, we are decreasing our metabolism by almost 50 to 60%. Even if we skip breakfast, we are subjecting our body to almost 16 hours of fasting state. What that does is it decreases our metabolism by 50%. So when we are eating only once a day, the calories hit us almost double. So if we take in 1,000 calories, it hits us like 2,000 calories.
And that also applies to trying just starvation diets. The same thing. The body goes into starvation mode, and it starts storing fat for emergencies.
Right, because our body is designed to survive. When we tell our body that the food may or may not come, our body quickly triggers its survival mechanism in which it starts storing food. For example, if we are not sure that our next paycheck is going to come next week or not, what do? We start saving money. But if we know that our paycheck is going to come regularly and is guaranteed, we spend money. So same thing the body does. If the calories are not guaranteed to come in, our body would save those calories as fat. But if it is guaranteed to come in on a regular basis and our body can feel it, it will actually spend those calories and utilize them.
I want to hit one more myth, because this hits me where I live. I'm an addict for diet soft drinks. So myth number 3 is that diet sugar and diet drinks are good for losing weight, and that's not true either, is it?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because we always think that zero-calorie drink means we are not getting any calories. That's not correct, because scientists have done research on people who drink diet drinks at least once a day, and what they found out that their brain rewires itself. It starts craving junk food, solid food, rather than liquids. Why it happens? It happens because we think we are giving our brain sugar and fooling it, but our brain is much smarter than that. It catches on within next few weeks that it is not getting any sugar from these diet drinks, so it will switch our cravings to solid food, which we cannot replace with artificial sweeteners or diet drinks. And that many times in my practice, I've seen patients who have intense cravings for junk food. The only way to stop it is to ask them to stop the diet drinks and artificial sweeteners first.
Wow. Yeah, and big advocates of 8 glasses of water a day, that keeping the body hydrated is part of this system that makes it work.
Yes, Slim Plate system involves drinking 8 glasses of water a day, and the reason for that is our metabolism. When we burn fat, it requires water. If we are not giving our body enough water, we are slowing down the fat burning reaction in our body, and we don't want to do that. Another reason is drinking enough water will also boost our metabolism by 30%. So drinking water is a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk a little bit about obesity. It's interesting that we're coming to accept obesity so much in this country that we don't recognize that it's a disease. In fact, it's just, some people claim there's nothing wrong with being a little overweight.
And that's a very dangerous thing. When we set a precedent in which we start accepting obesity as a normal, healthy body weight, that's dangerous. Now, the argument is that if we are obese or if we have weight on us, but our blood work is negative, everything looks normal, they go to the doctor, they get their blood drawn, and everything looks good. But does that mean obesity is healthy? No, because when we are obese, when we have weight on us, it doubles the chance of getting diabetes, it doubles the chance of getting high blood pressure, it increases the risk of heart attack by almost 60%, it can cause chronic fatigue, and it can also cause tenderness and pain all over, decreasing our quality of life. So in the beginning, when we have too much weight on us, our body is able to tolerate it. But if we don't take care of it and don't lose the pounds, we will eventually get the diseases we are at risk because of increased weight.
Mm-hmm. And those diseases include heart disease, diabetes, arthritis. What are some of the others that are obesity related?
Right. Well, cancers. It's
Okay.
also now known that many types of cancers, including pancreatic cancers, are associated with being overweight and obese. So what happens is that when we have a lot of fat cells in our body, what they do is they secrete inflammatory chemicals, causing a lot of inflammation. Now, if this inflammation happens in the brain, it can cause dementia. So obesity is linked with dementia. If the inflammation happens in our pancreas, it can cause diabetes. If it happens in our bloodstream, it can cause many types of cancers and also can cause heart disease and heart attacks and even strokes.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we mentioned already that all these fad diets don't work, but these diets are just wrong. You can't eat raw or frozen food for life. Having a normal diet that you're used to and managing portion control and reducing the intake of those sugar-free things and drinking more water are a much better way to lose weight in the long run.
Right. We have to do that. And whenever we choose a diet, one thing we got to remember is there are many diets which work. But the question is, can we stick to it? That's why I ask everyone to look for 3 criteria for choosing a diet. That number 1, it has to be easy to do. Because if a diet is not easy to do, the only thing will happen is we will eventually stop it, and when we stop it, we are going to gain the weight back again. And number 2, a diet should allow real food, our own food, because when we go away from the food that we are usually used to eating, we are not able to sustain that diet for too long, and again, it's a temporary diet. Mm-hmm. And number 3, any diet that we go through should change our eating behavior. It should improve our eating behavior. If a diet does not improve our eating behavior, it's just a fad diet. It's not going to change anything, and the day we stop it, we are going to start gaining the weight back again. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to make sure your diet is easy to do, it allows real food, and also it improves eating behavior.
I think plenty of us that have battled weight know about the yo-yo diet experience, that you lose the weight and then gain it back, and it's actually worse in terms of body mass index, in terms of body fat.
I think you're absolutely correct, because yo-yo dieting, gaining the weight back after losing it, number 1, it mentally discourages us to go on another diet because we put so much effort into it, and then in the end we gain the weight back. Mm-hmm. And number 2, if we keep on going through on and off dieting and losing and gaining the weight back, it completely disrupts our brain's weight regulation, and that causes big problems for future weight loss.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have actually been one of your lab rats myself as I read this book, and I'm trying to implement those things that I can right away, although I don't want to do it all at once. But the drinking 8 glasses of water, the eating breakfast regularly, eating regularly, 5 times a day, regular food, no artificial sweeteners, control portions, limiting sugary drinks, and physical activity. Those are the key tips to getting on the road to turning off the fat switch.
Right, because one thing, and especially you mentioned the point that we should eat real food, not protein shakes or powders, and there's a reason for that. That when we eat a piece of steak versus drinking protein shake or protein powders, the piece of steak is better to eat. Number one, it's more delicious. We are going to enjoy it more. Number two, when we eat a piece of steak, we have to chew it in the mouth. Then it has to go into our stomach, where our stomach churns it into a mush, and then it goes into intestine, where the enzyme come in and digest it into smaller particle called amino acids, and then it get absorbed. Now, this process of digestion will take away almost 35% of the calories from that steak. So we are already boosting our metabolism by eating real food. Now, if we drink protein powder or protein shake, what happens is they are already in a liquid form. They're already broken down into smaller particles, so our body does not have to do any work. So even though their original calorie amount may be low, but we are actually getting more calories through that than through a real steak.
Mm-hmm. So that the digestive system is a great source of energy burn.
Right, and digestive system, eating real food and high fiber food can actually boost our metabolism, and that's one of the easiest way to do it, because this is a big muscular pipe which runs from our mouth down below, and the only way to exercise is by moving it, and the way to move it is to eat food, and that is one reason we recommend that we have to eat 5 times a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks.
Mm-hmm. And as long as in those snacks and in those meals it's a balanced diet of healthy food, we should be fine on our weight loss program, our long-term weight loss program.
Yes, we should be, but we also have to be very cautious about other things. For example, sugary drinks. They're coming a lot more in the news now because we are learning more and more about it. But sugary drinks can alter our eating behavior. So it's not just about calories. So what they did was they did a study in laboratory on a rat, and they gave this rat a sugary soda. And they found out that the day the rat got a sugary soda to drink, it actually ate more that day. And as they kept on giving the rat sugary soda every day, the rat kept on eating more and more, and it started showing binge eating behavior. It started showing food addiction. And that is exactly what is happening to us. We drink one big soda every single day. It's not just about the calories we get from that soda. What is happening is it's also changing our eating behavior. So the day we get the soda, we eat more. If you give your kid a soda to take to the school, he's going to eat more that day and going to gain more pounds. So we have to be very mindful of how much soda we are drinking. We should not drink more than 8 ounces of soda in a day so that it does not change our eating behavior.
Mm-hmm. There are a number of programs, roads you don't want people to go down that are talked about, and I appreciate that. Eating infrequently and skipping meals is actually a bad thing. We've emphasized that, and I think it's a surprise to some people that not eating actually can cause your body to go into starvation mode and store more. They're thinking, if I just starve myself, everything will be great.
No, I think you're right, and that's one of the things, and it's very frustrating because one thing, we're putting our body through the torture of not eating, and then we are not losing any weight from it, and in fact we are gaining weight, and it's all about metabolism. The more we can boost our metabolism, the better our bodies would be. The more we starve our bodies, our metabolism would go down to conserve energy, and we are not going to lose weight. We are in fact going to have even more rebound weight gain. Mm-hmm. So some of the ways we can improve our metabolism is, number one, we should eat real food. Number two, we should have balanced diet in portions, in the right portions, at the right times. We should have a high protein and high fiber diet, and drink plenty of water. So these are some of the easy ways to boost our metabolism. So not only that we lose weight, but we are able to keep the lost weight off.
Mm-hmm. And you had some guidelines in there. Generally speaking, women, when their weight reaches 160 pounds, they should start losing weight. If men reach 200, they need to make plans to start losing weight, and then you go up from there in terms of the increases and how important it is to get started losing weight. And one of the things that I think is really important, besides all of the fad diets and diet pills that you talk about, is that diet trumps exercise.
I'm glad you brought that point up. Yes, diet trumps exercise, which basically means is If we are waiting that one day we are going to go to the gym and start exercising, the day we have time to do it, that's the time we're going to start losing weight. It all started with one of my patients who came to my office, and she was exercising 45 minutes a day regularly for last 2 years, and she said she didn't even miss a day, but she did not lose any weight. So the reason is diet contributes 90% to our weight loss. Exercise is a good thing to do. So don't get me wrong, exercise is a very good thing to do. It's good for our health, good for our energy levels and our mental health too. But it contributes only 10% to our weight loss. So we have to fix our diet, because if we cannot fix our diet, we won't lose weight. But the good news is people who cannot exercise, very obese people, people who have disabilities, they are not able to exercise. But still they have hope, because it's all about correcting your diet that's going to cause weight loss. And then you can add in exercise to it to boost it even more.
So while we're talking about the effects of a good healthy diet, let's mention the good bacteria that we need to be growing in our stomach.
Good bacteria. Now, this is one of the latest science coming in weight loss. So what scientists did was they took a group of obese rats in the laboratory. They made them go through a gastric bypass surgery. And of course, these obese group of rats lost weight. Then they took the bacteria from the stomach of these obese rats and put it into another set of obese rats which did not go through the gastric bypass surgery. And they found that even these rats lost weight even though they did not go through the gastric bypass surgery. So what we now know is that there is something more than just restriction of the stomach which causes weight loss in these surgeries. It is the changes in the bacteria and changes in the hormone. Looking deeper into it, they found that there can be either good bacteria in our stomach or bad bacteria in our stomach. But these bacteria can hack our nervous system, and they can actually make us crave food they want to eat so they can survive. So if we have good bacteria in our stomach, we are going to crave good food. If we have bad bacteria in our stomach, we are going to crave bad food. So how do we get bad bacteria? We get bad bacteria if we are drinking too much sugary sodas, too much sugary drinks, if we are eating processed food, junk food. These would cause bad bacteria. And these bad bacteria will crave bad food. They will crave junk food, so they are going to hack our nervous system, make us crave even more bad food. So that is how we get stuck in the cycle, what we call is the fat me yes cycle, and we keep on gaining weight. On the other hand, if we have good bacteria in the stomach, if we are eating high fiber diet, high protein diet, we are eating nuts, these are our healthy things. We're drinking plenty of water. So that causes good bacteria in our stomach, and this good bacteria will crave good food. The good news is, so if we go on the right path of losing weight by eating right, it becomes easier for us to lose weight, not difficult. So it will become easier as these good bacteria make us crave the good food.
Mm-hmm. So as we're eating good food, we foster the health of the right probiotics. Do you guys advocate taking a probiotic supplement?
Well, for weight loss, we don't know yet, because the research has not gone to a place that we know which are these good bacteria exactly. Mm-hmm. But we can start eating the right foods, the healthier foods, the real foods, to avoid sugary drinks, to get these group of good bacteria in our stomach and making our weight loss journey easier.
Okay. Let's talk for a minute about brown fat versus the white fat, because that's an important health notion.
Right. So as we talked about exercise contributes about 10% to weight loss, 90% is diet. But if we have to exercise, which exercise is good for us? So research shows that our body has two kinds of fat. One is a white fat, one is a brown fat. Now, brown fat is the fat-burning mode of our body, which has a lot of mitochondria. These are small batteries in these fat cells which make it burn. So we want to convert most of our white fat into brown fat so it will burn faster. How do we do that? Research shows that there is a muscle enzyme or a hormone called incretin. Muscle secrete this hormone, and it converts our white fat to brown fat. So the best way to convert our white fat to brown fat and put our body in a fat-burning mode is muscle-building exercises. So the more muscle we get, it increases our metabolism, but it also secretes this incretin, which then makes our fat burn faster.
Okay. Great. And I did want to touch on the risks of the high-fat diet, because we're not we're not eliminating fat, but we are looking for less saturated fat.
Right. So low carb diet and high fat diet, they're all bad. Whenever we are eating low carb diet, we unintentionally change our diet to high fat diet because we are replacing the low carb with other things. And when we are eating a high fat diet, what happens is it causes binge eating and addiction behavior. They had actually done research on rats in which they gave the rat a mixture of sugar and fat, which is cakes or cookies. What they found, the day the rat ate this mixture of sugar and fat, it would eat most of its calories of the day in the next 2 hours. So it actually triggers binge eating behavior in rat. So if we are eating high fat diet, our chances of getting food addiction and our chances of binge eating and our chances of increasing intake of calories is way higher just by change of eating behavior. So we have to look at from the point of not just calories, but also what it does to our eating behavior.
Yeah, and the inflammation that is caused by the high saturated fat is also a long-term health hazard. Obesity is an inflammatory disease when you think about it, and so when we start getting all kinds of signals, we need to be careful.
Well, I think you're right because obesity is an inflammatory disease, and when we are eating these fried foods, we are increasing our cholesterol. So there's inflammation and there's increase in cholesterol, and these cholesterol then is able to enter the walls of the arteries, making them hard and blocking them, causing heart attacks and strokes.
Mm-hmm. And another place you're killing me, besides telling me I can't have diet drinks, is you're not really big on eating much butter or cheese on this diet.
Right. So when we say you cannot have diet drinks or sugary drinks, but you can have water, and many times we can flavor our water with just squeezing some lemon or orange or even grapefruit into it. So we can look for natural ways of flavoring our water if we don't like the soda. And butter and cheese. So these are basically high-fat foods. So we can have it, but we have to be careful. For example, we can use in our system we can use spraying of the butter on the pan, which is better because it will give us only about 30 to 40 calories, or sometimes even 10 calories. But if you see it 1 tablespoon of fat or oil or butter, it's about 120 calories right there. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of hidden calories in fat that we need to avoid. Mm-hmm. So the little fat we can use, the better it is.
And another thing that is calorie dense is alcohol.
Yes. Many times I actually was driving through the highway and I saw this billboard which says, their alcohol is low carb. So I'm like, the chemical formula of alcohol is technically not a carb, so I guess they can write that. But when you look into the research, what we found that carbs would give us about 4 calories per gram, whereas alcohol would give us worse, 7 calories per gram. So we need to understand these alcohol are very high calorie drinks, and so we should always drink in moderation, not just because of its liver damage and intoxication, but also because they give us calories. Another reason for avoiding alcohol when we are trying to lose weight is that alcohol does reduce inhibition, and research has shown again and again that if we drink alcohol, we tend to eat more because our inhibition to not overeat is gone.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, let's talk about eating more protein to lose weight, the benefits of a high-protein diet.
Well, great question. So what is a high-protein diet? A high-protein diet is almost 50% of your plate should have proteins in it. So that is what we define a high-protein diet. There are many benefits of high-protein diet. For example, high-protein diet increases the intake of water by 50 to 75% compared to appropriate protein diet. Drinking more water then in turn increases our metabolism by 30%. Number 3, eating high-protein diet also decreases our cravings for junk food. So we usually tend to eat healthier when we are eating high-protein diet.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the slim plate system a little bit. That's not the focus of the book; it's the research that supports it. But every slim plate user in your research for 2 years at least lost weight.
Yes, Slim Plate system is basically a system of portion controls in 4 steps. Each step lasts 1 month. The Slim Plate system user will have access to a monthly weight loss program, and they would use a certain plate for 1 month, then switch to the next plate for the second month, and next plate for the third month, and finally on maintenance plate. The Slim Plate system has other tools also. All of them come together to build a diet around a person's own food so that they're eating their own food. They're not deviating from their own food, like we talked about, good criteria of a diet. So that is how Slim Plate system is designed. It is also designed for 2 things. Number one, we don't want to spend time learning all the nutrition science, and we want to make sure that weight we lose is forever, because it tends to improve eating habits. Our patients have told us that when they use Slim Plate system, their behavior changes, which means when they go to a restaurant and they get a big portion of plate right in front of them, they know exactly how much to eat, because they are surreptitiously being trained, their brains being trained on how to eat right.
Let's go through some of the rules real quickly. We only have about 3 or 4 minutes left. We know the 8 glasses of water a day, but another important rule is to eat breakfast within 30 minutes of waking up.
Yes, that's very important, because we are fasting in the night. So when we say take our dinner at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or supper at that time, from 10 to early in the morning when we wake up, it's almost 8 to 10 hours. We haven't eaten anything. Our body did not get any calories. If we skip our breakfast, the next meal comes at around noontime. So now we have increased our fasting period of our body to almost 16 hours. And like we said, it reduces our metabolism. It will make us difficult to lose weight. It will make it easy for us to gain weight. So we don't want that. So the best thing to do is we got to break this nighttime fast by eating breakfast preferably within 1 hour of waking up.
And that's even true if you're going to work out in the morning.
That's even true. And if you sometimes we ask people to split it. For example, you wake up in the morning, you drink you have a little bowl of cereal with milk, or drink a glass of milk, and then go for your workout. And then when you come back in again, you have your full breakfast. But we should break that fast quickly, so that our body is not subjected to the prolonged fasting state, and we are boosting our metabolism, not letting it slow down.
And that ties into the next rule, which is to eat frequently, about every 4 hours, 5 times a day. Yes,
eating every 4 hours, 5 times a day is very important. So one rule of thumb is, I always tell everyone, is that if you are not hungry within 4 hours of eating a meal, you ate too much. So next day you have to correct it. So for example, you ate a breakfast, you're not getting hungry in 4 hours. That means you had too much breakfast. You got to cut it down next day to a size that you are getting hungry every 4 hours. And that's very important, because then we are giving our body calories at a regular interval. Number 2, we are eating smaller portions, so that reduces the insulin spike in our body. Now, whenever we eat something, we get a high insulin spike, which converts calories into fat. But if we eat less amount, it gives us a low insulin spike, and that uses the calories. So we always want to keep our insulin spikes low by eating little but more frequently.
We've been talking with Dr. Sandeep Grewal, who wrote the book Fat Me Not, A Weight Loss Diet of the Future. A lot of good information in there. We hope that you'll pick up on that and find out even more. I'm your host, Dr. John Cook. Thanks for listening. I remind you that if you don't catch our program at its regularly broadcast times, you can also find us on YouTube at Good Books Radio, Strong and Cook.